Hello, world. Welcome back to Ink and Iron. I am one of your hosts. My name is Ben. I will be your creative crafter of color and canvas.
And I am Ryan. I am your malevolent master of metal music.
All right, Ryan, what song you got for us today?
Today, I have the final song off the 2018 release by Architects from their album Holy Hell. The album is A Wasted Hymn.
All right, so just a quick overview of my little notes here. I'll be honest, man, I struggled on this one. It had nothing to do with the song. I faced the dreaded artist block. It happens every once in a while where I feel overloaded on projects or just have too much going on and I don't know what to do. So I do nothing, as makes sense. So that's one of my successful strategies that you'll see I've employed for this video. First was to do absolutely nothing. The second I'll reveal in a little bit. As far as the song goes, beautiful song. Again, another instance of sort of like overlaying heavy and soft tones. I'll be honest, I really struggled with figuring out what was going on. I could definitely tell the song was about some sort of strife or the feeling of hope and overcoming something bad has happened. I had kind of misread it a little bit. I got vibes of like a second chance. So when I don't know what to do, I'll admit I cheated again and looked up the lyrics.
I get it.
Just because, again, I was having artist block and I couldn't think of anything to do. So I was like, well, let me see if I can get some more information. And to see that, it was about the loss of this person's loved one, their brother. Who was he? Was he also in the band?
He was a writer and the guitarist in the band. So this
Right.
was their Holy Hell was their first release after Tom passed away.
Okay, so with that in mind, my first thought was a rose, split the canvas where the top is the rose alive and the bottom is the rose. Obviously, after it's died and is starting to fade away, and that balance, again, just didn't really have any ideas. So started sketching around, and this is what I produced. Three, two, one. I started with the rose, and actually changed it. I can't remember the name of the flower right now, but I looked up what the flower that represents death is. Um, Maybe I'll find it and insert it here for the folks to see because I just can't remember right now. Um, and then I, followed some similar themes with this Reaper here, and you can see he's about to cut the flower. In my head, it's like I struggle to come up with anything, so I really focused on the death part. I know that sounds bad, but I also tried to make it in a style that like I thought fit the feel of the song and also like the real weight of it. Um, so this was sort of like the overall image that I came up with.
I think it's, I mean, everyone's open to interpretation, but I would say that with a song like this, the death is probably the thing to focus on. I know that
Hmm.
almost like that sounds bad, but it is in the sense that it's written as an ode to Tom and what Tom meant to the band. Obviously, his brother still being in the band. I mean, I think that's fair. It's the last track on the album, so I mean that that really even adds to the pertinence of how that all comes
Yeah,
comes out.
kind of metaphor in itself.
But I think that I think that, and I hate to say that I like songs like this because I don't want anyone to have to experience that loss. Unfortunately, it's a natural part of life. But I think in a lot of terms it brings out beautiful songs. And I actually debated. There's a piano version of this song, and I actually
I found
debated
that.
giving you the piano version um, to listen to. I think that the slower version's slightly more haunting in just the quietness of it. But
Hmm.
okay, can I just say already, you were like, I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. This is shaping up to be, and obviously I love all of your stuff, but this is shaping up to be something that I need a print of in my house.
And it was right about this time when I was, just sketching around and doodling. I was like, okay, like let me just make this Reaper where he's the center focus, and then it's actually the flowers, the real focus in front. Because again, it's like, the taking of something precious by the inevitability of death, and like this thing that's just impending, it's coming, right? One thing I also really liked was I looked up the album cover And I love that it was kind of like that um, abstract, almost looks like an eye a little bit, but you'll see I kind of took the style of that. So when I flipped it from regular white and black to the negative of black and white, I was like, oh, this is it. And it's right about here you'll start to notice that the next like 6 minutes of this video is me making these super tiny little lines to make the texture for this Grim Reaper. So strategy one was let's just not draw anything, right? Strategy two was let's do something so difficult and time consuming that I don't have a choice and I just have to sit there for hours drawing these little textured lines. It's like that seems like a great idea when I don't know what to do and I don't really feel like drawing. I'll just torture myself by making it really hard.
I mean, typically that's the best way to make yourself do it, right?
Right.
Torture yourself into it.
Well, and honestly, sort of the theme from all this was what kind of came out of it was just happy accidents. And let this be a message for those of you out there that maybe are also inclined into art. Art block's going to happen, and sometimes you just have to do it. You just start doing something. And honestly, I never would have picked to do this normally because again, it took so long, but I think it came out really cool and it ended up complementing the album cover that we were just talking about. It just all really came together nicely. It was a fun lesson. It was a hard one to learn. My hand was killing me drawing all these little lines, but I
How
think
long did
it
it take to draw all these lines?
okay. Well, I'm not joking, dude. When we look at the time lapse here, so we're about 4.5 minutes in. I probably started doing the lines like a minute ago in the time lapse. So the full footage from my iPad was like 3 or so hours long. I'm not kidding when I say probably at least 4 minutes of the time lapse is me drawing the lines. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I can do that math right now, but it's I would
Listen,
say
we're here for music and art. There's no math, no
yeah,
math.
no, this is the no math zone. But it definitely took at least half of the drawing time for it to be, 4 minutes of a 10-minute time lapse. It's coming up on half of the time. So probably like over an hour, hour and a half, just methodically going over these little lines.
As I see it all come together, though, and your hand might disagree, but it really feels worth it because the texture almost makes it. I don't know. The texture almost makes it feel more human.
Yeah.
Like
What
it's
what do you
worldly.
mean?
It exists.
Okay. Yeah, I wanted it to like distinguish. The thing is there's so many layers here and because it's so much black and white, when you don't have a lot of contrast, you have to really work to make things separate and not feel muddy. And in the end, I felt like it kind of got a little bit, but that tiny like cross hatching is what I guess what you would call it, really struck like texture wise to draw the Grim Reaper. So it's not like it's pulling it out of the screen, but it makes it visually different from the rest of everything that's happening. So like you don't lose it. And it also gives it kind of like this, it almost feels like it's see-through because you can see so much space between the lines, even though there's so many lines, making it feel almost it's like you can see through it. It's a little bit transparent almost. So I just thought it was a cool effect. And like I said, it was one way to get out of my art block by just making myself, you know, do something time consuming that like give my brain a chance to think of more ideas. But honestly, it turned out really cool. And it was a good lesson in patience, which admittedly something with my art that I feel I need sometimes is patience. I like to draw things quick. I don't understand how people can spend like 40 plus hours on a painting. It would drive me nuts. But it also turns out really cool. And so little bit of humbling, there for me to slow down and sometimes you just got to take a little bit of time. Notice
I
it's
mean,
still happening. We're okay.
yeah,
I decided I changed my mind. Let's just do something else for a little bit just to give my brain a moment to like relax. And now we're back at the lines.
it was actually your hand. It wasn't your brain. Your hand's like, okay, brother, come on.
Yeah.
We got a whole other half of this thing to do. Let's lighten the mood, and we'll get back to it.
Right. Yeah, I was just desperately trying to survive at this point. Um But it's
Yep.
coming to a close. You honestly, man, we're now 8 minutes into the time lapse, so there's about 2 minutes left. The last 2 minutes are gonna fly by, but as cool as this texture is, I think you'll really like how I did the background and really try to tie it together with the album cover and like sort of like uh matching the theme of the song. I do think it ended up being a good representation.
In the nicest way possible, the lines make it feel very grainy. Like I think that's
Hmm.
what I mean when I mean it feels real. Like I can touch this and I can feel it.
Yeah, it's crunchy.
Like it's very texture crunchy. I love that. That's a great way. That's a great way to describe riffs in songs, and it's a great way to
Yeah.
describe how this picture feels.
Yeah. Honestly, I
More
had
more
an
crunchy riffs coming your way.
let's go. That's what we're all about here at the, Ink and Iron YouTube show. Crunchy riffs and torturing ourselves with uh small lines. I had an idea come from doing these little lines. I think it'd be interesting sometime to do a drawing where I only draw to like the beat of a song. It's like putting the pencil on the page whenever the beat hits and like doing another. Of course, it would be all cross hatching again, and I'd probably hate it about 30 seconds in, but just an idea.
So I'll give you like a normal song for that to start, and then I'm gonna give you like a periphery song where there's like 16 changes within the song, and then you're gonna be like, I hate you, I don't want to do this show anymore.
Eh, Maybe, or we get something really cool. We'll just have to wait and see. But here you can see now I've moved on. I colored in the scythe. I'm working on the flower, and here's where the background comes in. And this is where I thought I was like, how can I make this seem even more like the album cover and also make it feel smoky but not get too muddy? And I think it really just it turned out nicely.
This okay, so with the point of the album cover, I feel like if I jumped into the album cover, this is what I would find on the other side.
Well, this is the final piece here. We've come to the end. I hope you enjoyed that 7 minute long video of me cross hatching.
I mean, I I'll say it again. How do I get a print of this?
Well,
Because I want this right here on my wall, right beside my head.
you just let me know, brother, and I will get it to you as quickly as I can.
Yeah, I mean, you have my email. Perfect representation of the song. I don't know what else to say. I feel like this of all the ones that you've done, you've seen a lot of good things, folks, and I know that you work hard on all of these, but I think this feels like such an accurate representation of what they were trying to get across and in the message. It's perfect.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I'm not kidding. This one was tough. And not just because of my questionable methods of overcoming art block, but art block itself can be a really, really tough thing to deal with. And I'm sure everybody experiences it in some way, whether art's your thing or whenever you are just not feeling your hobbies or your passions for a little bit, it hurts. And we all have to find different ways to overcome it. And just like this, when you do, maybe you'll make something magic. You'll make something you can be proud of, and it's just as fun just to find your passion again and feel that enjoyment. So, well, folks, if you haven't, be sure to check out the playlists on Spotify and Apple Music. Continually adding these songs to the playlist as we go, and we'll keep going. This has been another episode of the Ink and Iron YouTube show. Thanks for watching.
Nothing lasts forever.